Engage fluo injectors.
Engaging fluo injectors.
Fluo reactors at 80%, sir.
Fluo containment field is destabilizing.
Emergency fluo containment protocols now. All hands brace for impact.
Brace for impact in 3, 2, 1.
And we're back with another episode of World 1-1 Podcast. Before we start, quick thanks to our sponsor, Imaginary Authors, helping you up your scent game. More about them at the break. In the meantime,
Choose your fighter.
I am, as always, your host, Roll to the Wall. Joining me this week is Wes Snipes.
Sorry, I do not currently look like what would happen if RuPaul was a concierge at a hotel.
Grown-up Steve Urkel.
I
hope you know I've just Googled now a list of famous people named Wes.
It's not a long list.
It's not, and a lot of them are actually fairly obscure for famous folks.
There's Wesley Snipes. There's the guy who was the singer for Puddle of Mud. I think that's it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Wes
No, there's
Craven.
a few others.
Oh, yeah.
Craven.
Guitarist for Limp Bizkit.
Wes Craven, Wes Studi, Wes Brown, Wes Unseld, Wes Anderson, Wes Welker, Wes Montgomery, Wes Bentley, apparently.
Yeah, that guy from American Beauty.
Yeah. So they're there. I got a few weeks of this joke left.
Not if I get you to burn them all out on this episode.
Oh, it doesn't mean I'm not going to still use them. So, and Michael Brown. And Josh the LeGroux.
Hey,
Hey, Michael, remember, this is an audio show. That's the sound of a middle finger.
Hey, Larry, he's saying you're number one.
He is. All right, so let's jump straight to it with...
Oh my gosh!
Video games.
You know what? Wes, what the hell have you been playing?
Oh, similar to last time that I was on here, I'm still playing Yakuza Kiwami, although I'm a lot closer to the end now than I was last time. Turns out it's a lot easier to not get distracted by side content when there's a lot less side content.
yeah.
Who would have thought?
All right. Dude, speaking of Yakuza, did you see the what is it, the Infinite Wealth
Yep.
thing?
Yeah.
Oh my...
Dondoko Island.
I laughed so fucking hard at that.
Pre-ordered
shit.
that shit right away.
Yep. Look, I'm just saying, even if you don't like the rest of the game, you can just play Animal Crossing the whole time now.
I say it's just GTA, Animal Crossing, and Dead or Alive smashed together.
But one thing I was telling a friend of mine, so there's a Cabaret Club mini game in it, which is kind of like a mini dating sim. And I swear to God, it feels like the options half the time are go fuck yourself, go eat shit, or your dress looks beautiful on you today. And if you pick that third one, she's going to get mad at you for not encouraging her scat fetish.
Jesus.
So it's like real life dating.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
You can never do anything right. Yep.
Welcome to Tinder, y'all.
Yeah.
When I haven't been playing that, if I just need a break from Yakuza, I've been booting Slay the Spire back up every now and then.
Yes. Have you successfully completed Slay the Spire in terms of getting through all the
I've
all
not
the end
beaten.
floor? No.
I've not
Okay.
beaten A20, if that's what you mean, Ascension 20. I think
Okay.
the highest Ascension I've ever beaten was and gotten a heart kill was 5.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah.
So. Anything else on the played list?
That's about it for the time being. If I'm on for the episode next weekend, you're gonna finally hear me say I haven't been playing a Yakuza game and I've been playing a Like a Dragon game instead.
Oh Lord, Michael, what have you been playing?
Grime.
Mm.
The sad thing though is I think I hate it.
Really?
Like, I love the story. I love the aesthetic to it. But I really, really hate the Souls-like aspect of it. Like, it's frustrating as shit. Like, I'm not enjoying it.
Oh.
Like, I'm enjoying the what's it called? The exploration. I really am enjoying what story they're drip feeding you. But, like, it's not fun.
Oh. All right, here's a new innovation that needs to start happening because this has almost become too much in our beloved genre here, Michael. I think if you're going to do a game like that, you have a Souls toggle where you can toggle on or off like the Souls type mechanics and difficulty.
Mm-hmm. Darksiders 3 actually did that.
Did it really?
Yeah, it did.
Ooh.
Because a lot of people were upset about the initial way that it played, so they did a classic mode for it.
Okay, there.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what we need. We've fixed a current problem. Look at us go. We're not even 6 minutes in. We're awesome. So
no, like I'm not sure how much more I'm going to be able to get into this. I'm only at the second boss at this point, and it took me a little bit of time, but I managed to figure out the patterns of the first aspect of it, and then the second aspect literally just fucks me up beyond repair.
Okay.
And as I said, it's not fun. It's
yeah. That's almost borderline what we recorded on the it'll hit feeds in a couple of weeks, but we were talking about great games that aren't fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if this would fall in that category, but it's one of those where it borders on that, where like I love everything about it except playing it. Yeah.
I may end up just watching a Let's Play of it just for the story, because the story is gorgeous. Like the fact that they don't really explain anything; they just kind of drop you in the middle of it and say go.
Yeah.
And I'm as I said, I'm really enjoying that aspect of it, but that's the only thing I'm enjoying.
So no, I could see you. I could see you taking the Let's Play route out of that one.
Yeah.
So. Any other goodies?
Nope, just that. I tend to stick with one game at a time because they'll end up getting mixed together and I'll confuse the two.
Oh, I understand that shit.
Yay,
LeGrew, what do you got this week?
Well, I started 2 games. So I actually downloaded Alan Wake 2. Yeah, I know. But they're both very similar, and this is why I do this, because I am a lot like Michael, where I consider myself a monogamous gamer. Like, I need to play one game at a time if I really want to get into it. And I play it, I finish it. It's almost my anxiety taking over, my OCD. Like, I need to finish that game or become satisfied with it and just move on. So, Alan Wake 2 I downloaded. I didn't really start it up until late in the week. But Dead Space Remake, I actually really got into. And I know they're very similar games just in the survival horror aspect, because Alan Wake 2 is very much survival horror, more than even the original Alan Wake. And I got nothing good to say about Alan Wake, even though I only played like 2.5 hours of it. But the Dead Space Remake, I'm about 6 hours in. So I could probably finish this pretty fast. I played Dead Space quite a bit. I gotta say, it's really on that border of remake, reimagine, because they changed some of the stuff that really was annoying, but they leave the suspense, and they left everything that was good about the original game there. It was just the kind of like little hiccups and annoyances that they would change. They actually changed the layout of the map, so it makes way more sense now. It feels better. I didn't know I needed that until it actually was there. So I was like, okay, that's good. I'm not quite finished with it. Like, it's about halfway through, probably. Maybe a little less than halfway. And then I got a little bored, and I was like getting antsy for Alan Wake, because anybody that knows me knows that Remedy is like, I
That's
love
your
Remedy.
jam.
I love Remedy games. I just love Control. I love Alan Wake. Alan Wake, to me, when that came out in 2013, was absolutely groundbreaking, you know, and I loved it. And so I played it a lot, and I played it on like 360 a lot. I played American Nightmare, loved it. When Control came out, I played that now on 3 systems, and I am going to probably play on my PS5 coming up real quick here. So I really love the game. I just love it because it's a throwback to a time where it's mainly linear, and it just has this story that is really engrossing. And the way that they did, if you play Remedy games, or you've seen like Quantum Break, how they did the video aspect with the, with the story, they kind of like did it very like you were playing, and then there was this video. Alan Wake 2 really melds these two together with Control and the gameplay in a very unique way. It's like I would almost say it's right now the pinnacle of everything that Remedy has done up to this point. I would take Crossfire X and throw that out, because whatever they did with that, I don't know. But everybody gets one, right? So,
Sure.
But this
Except
game,
CD Projekt Red, there's no excuse for fucking Cyberpunk.
no, there isn't. But they still made money on it. That's the whole thing.
know.
They didn't learn a lesson at all.
No.
No, and
No, they learned a lesson. They learned don't try and make your own fucking engine for this shit.
Right. Now I'm playing this on my PC because it has great ray tracing. The graphics are absolutely top notch, and its survival horror is top notch. It's very much a survival horror game. There's
As
like
it
one
should
level. Yeah, one level I went through. There was only like 9 enemies.
Ooh.
And so, and then there's like the boss kind of guy. But so I think I'm about 3 hours, 3-ish. I should look at my my play timer on it. But enjoying it. I'm actually savoring it. So what I do is I use the dead space as like I'm breaking into gaming for the night. And then when I feel like I want to play like an hour left, I'll play the Alan Wake 2. Because I don't want to finish it too fast.
That
Time
shit's
to beat,
dessert.
yeah, time to beat says it's like 18 to 25 hours, depending on what you do.
Okay.
And so I'm kind of like really trying to savor it. But
Stretch it out.
Yeah, those are the 2 that I'm in. I downloaded Cocoon.
Yes.
I fired it up. I
Attaboy.
have not actually played it yet, though.
You're
That's
so
on.
close to greatness.
When I need and I'm going to, because I do get overwhelmed with like survival horror type games. It's going to happen where like one night I'm just maybe it's tonight. I just take a break and play Cocoon.
It's a great weekend game, dude.
Yeah, and I actually have tomorrow off too. So I figured, well, if I stay up late tonight, I actually went to bed early last night, and I took a full advantage of the fall back, and I had extra hours sleep. I woke up at like 7 in the morning, didn't realize why I was so like rested, until I realized that it was actually like, oh, I had an extra hour of sleep. So I did that, but tonight I'm ready. I think to like I'm getting this game room set up. You can see behind me, I got the Vectrix over there. I'm starting to get I got my CRT ready to put up. So I'm getting it going. It's just taking a little longer, and I got my helmet over there on that side. But I'm getting going. I had to make room for this Darksiders Genesis that Michael sent me that I got. So I got room for it on the shelf over here. So I had to do that. But I mean, I'm right there. So those are the 2 games I'm really into right now.
You know what you really need? Never mind the CRT. You just need like a full 5x5 90s like shoe store video wall.
Yeah, it would be awesome, like a little projector or something.
Oh no, I'm talking like 5 CRTs by 5 CRTs.
Oh, like
Fucking
that.
classic video wall, bro.
Shit, man, I've got the CRTs too. That's the bad part. I've got the CRTs in the garage.
LaCruz like, I have 25 identical CRTs. We're making this shit happen.
I've got 4 identical, and I've got 2 others. I've got a widescreen CRT, like the old school one from like 2001, where it's high definition, quote unquote. Takes an HDMI port, but it's a CRT. So it's like, I think technically the highest is like 1080i.
That's still something for CRT.
Yeah, and it actually works really well. It was on, believe it or not, it was on the side of the road.
Jesus.
And I picked that
I
thing
believe
up.
that.
It's a 36-inch CRT, and I picked that thing up on myself and put it in my car. I swear, the guy watching me thought I was gonna bust a nut because I could feel it. I could feel it going, and I was like, "Nope, it's going in my car." And I shoved it in my car, and I couldn't even shut the
door,
the door or the trunk. And I only had 2 blocks to go to home, and I thought to myself, "Well, if it falls out, it falls out. I ain't stopping." And it made it, so I got it.
All right, let's see. What have I been playing this week? I picked up some more Dread, and I gotta say, I don't know what the deal was today because I was playing it earlier this afternoon, actually, for a little bit because I started fiddling with it again the week prior, and I swear I'm noticing like little things in the music and in the background that I think got updated and tweaked. Mostly just like sound and audio stuff. I did notice, and I can't believe I fucking missed it up until now, that I want to say it's Cataris. The music for Cataris actually has a throwback nod to the original NES Metroid title tune.
Which Dread is this? Is this the one that's the?
There's only one Dread.
Okay, so I'm just looking it up because I honestly didn't. I wasn't here last week, so I didn't know if you were.
Yeah, no, I was just replaying Dread, just fiddling, and
I gotcha.
But yeah, that and like little things like I was coming up on the Kraid fight, and I swear Kraid's roar in the background got quieter. Just like weird little subtle things, and I'm either imagining it or they like updated and tweaked some audio mixing stuff, but. Other than that, just piddling there, and unlike Michael and LeGroux, I am polygamorous. I started playing Luck Be a Landlady on my phone because I could have gotten it on Steam, but I'm like, no, this is one where I should just be able to pick it up and play it wherever, and it's not on my Switch. It's technically a rogue, but it's all just slot machine. And so, it's a fucking weird one. The premise is perfectly stupid. It's you start the game and you get an email from your landlord that says, welcome to the apartment complex. Please enjoy the slot machine that's been installed in your unit for your enjoyment. Also, your rent's $150 and it's due in 5 spins. And so you're spinning your slot machine to try and make money to make rent. And after every spin, you get to add another icon into the mix of what might spin up on this like 3x5 slot machine. And all the different icons have like different effects that either act on their own or activate when they're next to certain other icons. Like some of them will get bonus coins. Some of them will like destroy other icons if they're next to certain ones. All sorts of just kind of, I won't say weird, but clever, but in a way that just makes sense. And then every time rent comes due, the rent goes up, and every few rent dues, you get a couple more spins to make the next round of rent. You also get to add items that have like overall effects, kind of like the relics in Slay the Spire. So similar premise there, but it's so simple and stupid. But I'm like, they took one of the most basic game concepts and figured out how to make a competent rogue out of it, and it's really kind of cool.
I have one.
Like, it's not amazing, but it's good.
I've got one quick question that might sound like I'm trying to be a jerk and be funny, but I promise it's
You're good.
not. Is this separate from Luck Be a Landlord? Because you said Luck Be a Landlady.
Oh, no, it's the same game. Sorry. But yeah, Luck Be a Landlord.
Gotcha.
That's the one.
I was like,
But yeah.
did they make a sequel to that?
No, but that should be the sequel now. Luck Be a Landlady. So, but yeah, Luck Be a Landlord is a great little like 10-minute time sink though, because you can just in and out of it real fucking fast.
It's a mobile
Pick up-
game, right?
Yeah, it's on
Yeah.
the Play Store for like $5.
Yeah, and that's,
Same thing on Steam.
Yep, and that's why it's a nice game to just jump in and jump out, which is great.
Yeah. So I'm still flummoxed as to why something this simple and this inexpensive hasn't hit the Switch, but because that's a good spot for it too. But again, it's because you can pick it up and take it anywhere.
Sure.
I think that's a key piece of the charm to this game, which makes the Steam release a little baffling. But you know, what are you going to do? Other than that, a little more Magic Arena. Trying to get through all the dual color decks in the starter deck challenge, and this fucking blue and black deck is just not working for me. It is frustrating as shit. I'm just like, I can build a blue and black deck, but you got to use the one they're pre-made for this challenge. And
Right.
Fuck me. I am not getting the thematic working for me here. It's just not. I will say though, I realized today that after I finished this run of Dread, which shouldn't be real fucking long, honestly, because I'm actually playing it on Rookie just to be able to play it instead of like challenge myself. I'm like, no, I just kind of want the breezy experience this time. I do realize I think I'm going to go back and replay Samus Returns on 3DS because
Ooh,
I haven't
yeah.
replayed that terribly much, and
I've been thinking about that myself, honestly. which is
yeah,
kinda weird.
I know I've got like my beefs with big parts of it, but I kind of want to see if maybe that's settled down now that I've spent some time away from it. So I have a feeling that at least one of them won't, namely the fact that Ridley's in the end game. He didn't fucking belong there. The problem was it was such a good fucking fight, but it just didn't belong there.
Right. I agree.
Like, god damn it.
Is what it is, man.
Pretty fucking much. So, but that's what I've been playing. So unless anybody's got anything else to throw on the pile.
You said you were having issues with blue and black deck.
Yeah, I think it was the blue and black deck.
Just get some Tears on a River. You know, you get a push on shove.
God.
Don't be much.
All right, fun fact, legit, that was the first CD I owned. I love that fucking album, dude.
That was the first CD you owned?
Yeah,
Jesus, I'm like an old man around here.
that was middle school for me.
Yeah.
What was your
thanks,
first CD?
That don't make it any better.
I know.
I can make you guys feel really, really old and just go, wait a minute, you guys, your first album was a Five Finger Death Punch one?
Oh, Wes.
I've seen them live too. They're really good. Really nice guys.
Yeah, I would love to see them live. Actually, I have not yet.
Okay, so legit, like the best part of the show. One, got to meet them all beforehand. They were all doing signings. Really nice dudes. But
Cool.
two, they were the last band on of the night, and because they were co-headlining a show with In This Moment and Papa
Oh.
Roach, and
That's pretty awesome.
it was a good show.
Yeah.
But anyways, but they were the last band on out of the three, and for the entire back half of their set, they invited like all the kids up on stage in the audience to come hang out with them on stage while they jammed out for the back half of their set.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I think
I'm
Michael
like,
asked me a
fuck
question,
respect.
which was what was this? Was that you, Michael, that said what was the first CD I owned?
Yeah.
I have two that I can't remember which one was first. It was either Ace of Base the Sign, or it was Fat from Weird Al Yankovic. I can't remember exactly which one. I think it was Ace of Base the Sign.
I would say I got $5. It was Ace of Base.
I bought that CD. I was at my grandmother's house for the summer, and we went to Walmart, which was a big deal because they live in like a little podunk town. And we went to Walmart, and it was like $8, so I picked it up, and I listened to that all summer long.
God. All right. So before we hit the break, real quick, awesome sponsor, Imaginary Authors. Amazing fucking unisex fragrances for guys, gals, and non-binary pals, including their new one upcoming. They're rolling out their second edition release of Bull's Blood. And I gotta say, I went through and I kind of took a look at what all's in there as far as scent notes, and I am absolutely intrigued. I've got my sampler on pre-order to check that out and see if that's going on the list of big bottles for me. But my go-to has absolutely been A City on Fire. Memoirs of a Trespasser is another absolute banger. For the ladies, you've got some of the more flowery, sugary stuff like Fox in the Flower Bed, Whiff of Waffle Cone, second edition just hit. Go check them out. Links in the show notes down below. And let's hit the break! And we're back with the third half of the show. This week we are diving down the warp pipe.
Oh, wow. Love these pipes.
And we're taking a look at games that get better and more fun the more you play. So either, the more hours you sink in, just the more fun this suddenly becomes to play, or games that just start fucking rough. But if you can plow through it, you get to the good shit. So let's dig in. I'm going to toss out a couple of quick samples here just to get the conversation rolling. Almost anything in the rogue genre.
I'd absolutely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they tend to suck until you can start to unlock certain things. Like Dead Cells. Dead Cells was a bitch until you start unlocking the permanent stuff.
Yeah. It is not just that, but just the more you play, the more that opens up to you, and you start finding a groove with that difficulty curve that's real fucking high in the beginning. And it's not like the difficulty curve necessarily changes or smooths out. It's just that you're getting better because you're playing more and longer.
Mm-hmm. Hades was another good example.
I was just about to say, because how powerful Zag gets is a big difference between early game and late game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have they mentioned anything about a sequel to that yet?
Yeah, that got announced.
I was just saying, I thought they did.
I thought you were. I honestly thought you were joking for half a second. It's like
no, but it's been so long since they announced it, I couldn't remember. Like,
I'll stick a link in the group chat for you.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, that's coming.
They announced it's going into early access next year.
Nice. As I said, that one was surprising with how much I enjoyed it, because I'm not usually into stuff like that. But I really enjoyed that one. Plus, just the progression of the story itself, the way it was done, was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Something I want to kind of add on to that, like a very generic category of games that get better the more you play. Anything that has a very well-written story. And the more of that story you start to get into, the more you're intrigued and more you want to know more, and something along those lines. And I get that's a very broad category right there. But I think we can all think of one where it's like, I have to see how this ends. You mentioned Hades, like it gets better the more you play it, not just because Zagreus gets more powerful, but also because you start to learn more about Zagreus' relationship to all these other characters in the underworld. And you can see some of them that start bad but get better, like his relationship with his father, Hades.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I was just going to say, too, that as rogues go, it's not just the rogue lights, but the rogue likes, because, again, the more you sink into it, the better you get and the more fun you have with it. Downwell is one of those for me.
Oh, yeah. Enter the Gungeon and Slay the Spire are both big ones for me, because I felt a lot more comfortable going against the enemies and learning their patterns and what you would have to do. Those are two very different games, but they're both more rogue likes than they are lights. So you don't get much more powerful. I guess you unlock some things, but they don't carry with you to the start of the next one. It's just something you have the potential to find in your next run. So,
right.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, kind of piggybacking off of what you said there, Wes, as far as games with like great writing that got better, there was one ages ago that I almost put down. Actually, I almost did not break through the wall here. I think I got about 2 hours in, and I was almost ready, and it just something clicked, and it hit the hook. Was Jade Empire on the original Xbox? Like, for me, the first 2 hours were just the worst fucking slog. But I'm like, you know what? I paid for this. I picked it up new on a couple of recommendations. I'm like, we're gonna give this a fair shake. So I pushed past that 2 hour mark, and suddenly it all clicked, and I just was having a ball with it. But those first couple hours felt god awful.
Yeah. Hearing you describe that remind me a little bit of back when I was really, really into Game Grumps. I remember they almost quit Doki Doki Literature Club before the big twist came, because it's just straight up like cookie cutter visual novel till that point. You know? Yeah.
I would even toss in The Witness as well. Like, The Witness kind of starts real by the numbers puzzly until you hit like the aha moment, and suddenly everything just opens up, like the scales fall from your eyes, and the whole game becomes something different.
Yeah. For me, The Witness was a bell curve sort of quality. Maybe that's not the best way to describe it, because we're not trying to find an average. Like that aha moment, and I know the exact one you're talking about, it did open my eyes. But then I kept playing it, and I was like, this feeling didn't stick around very long.
I think it sticks around, but it definitely tapers. And I also think it sticks around longer the more philosophically you look at that game.
That's certainly very fair. I will say, if you've tried to get through some of these puzzles, though, it really feels like that game does not respect your time, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I could see it.
But there is an aha moment, so that's kind of funny. It's like the middle part of that game is absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah,
and I'll agree with you on that 100%.
Michael, what do you got? What's one that you almost just fucking stopped and something clicked right?
It's more of a full genre, like just the Metroidvania style. Like I
was gonna say Hollow Knight did that for me.
Yeah, Hollow Knight was like that. Ori, don't get me wrong, Ori I loved from the very beginning.
Yeah, Ori I don't think quite fits this, but
no, the moment you unlock that triple jump, I like that was where the game was like, okay, this is fucking amazing. But like just the entire genre is just because at the beginning of those games it's shit. It's a pain in the ass. They start out the difficulty curve on them is bad just because it starts out so weak, and then as you unlock more, it gets more fun just being able to go further with it.
Yeah. I would say Hollow Knight was definitely one of those for me, because Hollow Knight's one where I started it like 3 different times before it stuck enough for me to actually push into it and really get there. But God, once the more I played it and the more I got my head around the beginning being very drab, it just the magic was there.
Yeah.
But you had to play into it. And the more you played with it, the more fun you were having, because the more things that you found along the way to make work together, as far as like the charms, having tandem effects and shit.
Mm-hmm. The first Blasphemous was like that for me.
Oh God, yes.
It was that testicle crushing difficulty level, and then suddenly, some of the shit just clicked. And like as I said, the game was amazing. Still to this day though, my biggest complaint about that game is the fact that you needed certain, relics, in order to do certain things, like that should just be an automatic. Like the falling, like if you fall out of the stage, like you need that one relic that actually keeps you alive, and little things like that.
I'll tell you one I ran into in the last year or so that really had the wall up that you had to push through. And I think that's something I'm noticing with all these is it's most of these don't seem to be a slope into, getting more. It seems to be like you just have to break through a wall like an hour or two in. But Subnautica was very much that for me. Like trying to get enough going in the beginning of Subnautica to really start doing anything meaningful just felt so micromanagey, repetitious. I almost put it down, but I'm like, nope. There's enough interesting here, but man, it really fucking like put the screws to you in the beginning until you started getting yourself established. Like they gave you nothing.
Oh yeah.
So
hearing
you
you
had
guys
to scrape it out.
Hearing you guys talk about Metroidvanias and games with a lot of micromanagement remind me of two separate things that I both want to bring up. The first one's not a Metroidvania, but you made me think of it because we were talking about exploration. I was so, I'm going to say reverse spoiled by open world games. Like I was so used to going point A, point B, do this, do that the very first time I played Breath of the Wild, I was honestly really bored because I was like, so I'm just going for big empty zones, maybe fighting a few enemies here and there. But when I realized like it's very much not the journey, it's the not the destination, it's the journey with that game. You have to like take your time and look around and see what you can do there, because any game where exploration is a big part of that, if you aren't used to games where you have to explore, you're not going to be finding a lot of fun stuff to do.
Zoe had very much the same thing with Breath of the Wild, actually. Tried a couple times to get him into it,
actually,
and it took Zoe pushing for a couple of hours before they really started having fun with it.
But when it clicks hard.
Mm-hmm.
Another one.
I had that problem actually with the sequel, with Tears of the Kingdom.
I gave up on that shit.
And you know what? At first, it was honestly boring to me, and then at one point, like once I started messing with the vehicle things, and like I built a hover bike. The first time I built the hover bike, I was like, all right, I'm in. Like I'm all in. Like the hover bike, I had a lot of fun with in that game.
Yeah,
I just felt so much tedium, like having to piece things together to get from one place. I'm like,
the sad thing is, like on almost every level, it took everything that was good about Breath of the Wild and just extrapolated on it. It streamlined a lot of things. It made it was by far a better game, like than Breath of the Wild was.
Yeah.
So I would highly advise you to go back to it. Plus,
I will at some point.
My biggest complaint about Breath of the Wild is I barely remember the story from it. Whereas Tears of the Kingdom, the ending was memorable. It was good. It was really well done, actually.
Okay.
But
because that was one of my biggest complaints about Breath of the Wild is, as I said, the story was forgettable. Like, especially that ending fight. That ending fight sucked. It was just boring. Whereas...
It's great for speed running, though.
It's great for speed running. But the ending battle, the whole ending and the lead up to the ending of Tears of the Kingdom was one of the best things I've seen in a long time.
Okay. I know I'll go back to it, but...
Yeah.
Another one I want to bring up... not a style, but more so a developer-publisher style of game. A lot of Paradox games, if you've ever played any of them. So stuff like Crusader Kings, Stellaris, Victoria. You've not? There is a lot of micromanaging in them because you're either running governments or you're playing a character who is the head of your government, And so it definitely depends on which one you are. So Crusader Kings, for example, you play the king. It's in the title. Stellaris, you'll typically play the leader of a world's government as you're trying to expand across empires and so on and so forth. And as you can imagine, leading a government is kind of hard, and there's a lot of things you got to manage. And I remember one of my best friends. He's a big fan of Crusader Kings. And when Crusader Kings 2 went free on GOG, I actually invited him over. I was like, "Hey, you wanna show me how to play this?" More so an excuse just to hang out. But
Yeah.
like I was playing through the tutorial and like constantly pausing and asking questions. And like I think at the end of like at a 3-4 hour session, I got through like maybe 10 in-game years, which if you know that game, that's not a lot. But once it picks up, you know, it can get very addictive. It's one of simply because there's a lot of mechanics you have to learn. So you mentioned micromanaging with Subnautica. That's something that it made me think of.
Okay.
So something along those lines.
I feel like any strategy game that just info dumps everything on you at the beginning would fall into that heading, or under this heading too, just because it takes so long to sort out from the info dump what's your immediate essential needs, and then once you get to a point where you need some of the more advanced stuff that it told you 5-6 hours ago at the beginning of the fucking game, then going back and refiguring out what the hell it told you and how to use that. But then, you know, once you've got that, it opens up into a groove where it feels great.
Right.
So, and props to fucking just systems heavy games that don't fucking do that, because you shouldn't.
Right.
So,
on a slightly more positive note, I'm sorry, was I interrupting you? I didn't mean
no,
to.
you're good.
Some games I think they might not be the most beginner friendly, but aren't necessarily bad beginnings. They just get better. Anything that I would describe as a quote unquote wiki game, like games where you'll often have the wiki up on a second monitor as you're playing. So something along the lines of Minecraft, Terraria, Stardew Valley, to the point where eventually you don't need the wiki anymore and you can just play it on your own. Like, I'd argue those games are fun from the get-go, but they get more fun once you're comfortable with them.
One that slots into two of the categories we've kind of put forth here would be A Robot Named Fight.
Yeah.
Like, the more you play that, between the rogue component and the Metroidvania component, but just the more you play it and the more you start figuring out and taking notes, it feels a lot better once you're 100 runs in, instead of, you know, the first 20. I would say the same thing with like Loop Hero or Vampire Survivors are solid like wiki games too, just because they don't fucking tell you shit, but you go looking for what everybody's already figured out. So, but that's my thought.
Right.
But it seems like we've inadvertently we've nailed this down from specific games to whole entire genres that just fit this. So you're welcome. We've cracked the code.
What video game gets better the more you play it? Answer: all of them.
No, not all of them, because
No.
the next deep dive we're talking about the inverse. So games that just kept getting worse. They started so well, but because those are out there too. Jesus. So, but I'm pretty sure I know where that's going to lead. But any other like great examples we want to toss in here?
I could probably go look through my entire collection downstairs and pick out a couple like just like that.
Yeah. No, it's. I think maybe we've hit a good stopping point. So
Shantae games.
yeah,
That's another one that like As I said, it starts out you're weak as shit because you got nothing, and the more you unlock, the more fun it gets because the more you can do.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually going to throw out an oldie from the 360 here, and I hate that I just said an oldie from the 360, but and it's recently in my head because of something I was playing last week actually that Leguru and I were talking about. But Marble Blast Ultra, which don't get me wrong, it starts out pretty solid, but Jesus, the more you pour into it, and you start like really getting your head around the physics, to which I'm now realizing Rocket League goes in here too. Because God, once you figure out the fucking physics and all the ridiculous shit you can do with it, when you learn the physics, gets way more fun. So. Because, I mean, just watching, I showed Zoe some of the speed runs for Marble Blast Ultra on the 360, and just watching people use the insane physics to, like, launch the ball off of corners and shit where it does not belong, to skip the entire fucking course, and just that level of satisfaction of nailed it.
I've never actually seen this game, but for some reason what you're describing is reminding me a lot of Marble Madness on the Nintendo.
It's definitely got its DNA origins in that. I will send you a link. There is a newer version of it basically on the Switch called Marble It Up Ultra.
Okay.
It's a lot of fucking fun. So but if you want to hear more about that, listen to the last episode in Games of the Week. There's a solid meaty conversation about the link between all three of those actually. Yeah, 3. So but yeah, check that out. And like I said, that's another good like late night. My fingers need something to do, but I need to not think.
Hearing you talk about that made me think of I don't know if it's so much that I had the extra time instead of, and hearing you talk about that made me think of it, but two completely different genres, but I'm looping them into combo focused action games, which could be either fighting games or brawlers / hack and slash style of genre. So stuff like getting the combos down and a good fighting game and finally being able to be better than your opponents, that feels really good. Like, I'm sure a lot of people have gone into a new fighting game, they played it for the first time, and they go online because they want to finally be competitive, and they get their asses handed to them quite handedly. Totally not speaking from experience. Totally not. But
oh God. Tetris on the DS was like that.
But when you
felt really great until you got online.
Yeah,
when you finally learn how to like master the combos and go against the combos that people are trying to get on you, it feels really good to start doing that.
Yeah.
And similarly, even if it's not necessarily competitive, games along the lines of Devil May Cry, Nier Automata, and most recently for me, Hi-Fi Rush, when you get into a flow in those games, it feels so good. Like, at first you gotta learn the mechanics, just doing light, heavy, and not just repeating the same combo over and over again, because it's real easy to just do light, heavy, you know? But when you actually...
Oh, no, go, I'm sorry. I did not mean to, I apologize.
You're good. But when you actually learn which ones flow better into other combos, like this is the one that launches the enemy in the air, and this is the one that once they're in the air holds them in there a while, and this is the one after that slams them back onto the ground, damaging anyone who is underneath them, and you finally start getting that pattern down. Like I say, when it flows, God does it flow.
I was gonna say, I think it was Daryl Talks Games did a fantastic, and I'm pretty sure it was him, and if not, I'll dig it up and find it and throw a link in the show notes, but there was a phenomenal piece he did on flow state in games. Highly recommend. Like I said, I'm I will dig it up and find it, but I'm pretty sure it was Daryl Talks Games. It might have been Game Maker's Toolkit, but it's you want to get into like the psychology of flow state. That's a really cool one to check out. So, but I think we may have just hit a good natural endpoint. So, what do you guys say we wrap? Unless there's anything else to toss into the pile.
I'm good.
All right. Well, in that case, I want to say thank you to my compatriots, Michael and Wes, for coming and hanging out with me today. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. Check us out on all your favorite podcast places, from our current home at least, on Podbean, YouTube, all your assorted podcatchers, be it Good Pods and Spotify and everything else in between. We're on all of those, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you get all the new episodes in your notifications and you don't miss anything good. And we'll see you all back next week here on World 1-1 Podcast. Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
All right. And remember, as always, press start to engage your mind. Peace.